Hey everyone, and welcome. I'm Sally and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are just getting cozy. You can see I'm literally propped up against the wall. I've got my blanket, I've got my tea that's kind of too hot to drink, but I can smell it and soon I will be able to drink it. Anyways, I'm gonna be able to talk. We are gonna get cozy and we are just gonna chat, and we are going to chat about how to set a New Year's resolution that will actually stick. So this is going to be per the fact that we're going to chat. Maybe a bit of a chatty video, might take a little bit. Don't know how long we'll be here. So just grab some tea, grab some coffee. Please make yourself at home, and we will just hang out. But jumping right into it, New Year's resolutions. Wow, what a big word. What a big concept. What a noble idea that never actually become a reality. I mean, sometimes they do. But I think when we think about this idea of a New Year's resolution, all of us have this association with some big, vague goal that maybe we pursue for a week or so. Usually it has to do with like our health or going to the gym or something like that. But then within like the first month by Valentine's Day, usually we've kind of fallen off track of achieving that goal. And for that reason, I think sometimes I have a little bit of a negative taste in my mouth when I think about setting resolutions. However, I think I need to get rid of that, because the idea of resolution, or maybe more accurately, just goal setting, particularly at the start of a season and the start of a new year, I think is really important and valuable as a tool when it comes to growing as individuals, and being intentional about where our lives are headed and just taking charge of what's ours to take charge of. So today I'm going to go through 5 different steps to setting New Year's resolutions that you can actually stick to. And I'm also going to tell you what my goals are for 2022, and having reflected on, if you didn't see the video a couple weeks back, having reflected on my goals from 2021, what I was able to achieve, what I wasn't able to achieve, and the steps that I feel really helped me get where I got, I'm going to share with you. Bottom line, again, as I already said 3 times, how to make goals that are actually going to stick. So before we jump into that, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would be a huge help to me, and just really mean a lot. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up as well. But with all of that out of the way, step number 1 is not too many, aka don't set too many goals. Studies have actually shown that people who set 2 to 3 big goals for themselves in a set period of time are much more likely to achieve those goals, all 2 or 3 of them, than someone who even sets 3 to 4 goals. People who set 3 to 4 goals, if I'm remembering correctly, are more likely to accomplish only 1 to 2 of those goals. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think I saw these statistics come to life with the goals that I set the past year, because I set 4 of them, 2 of which were kind of vague. And those particular 2, I didn't really achieve, or I didn't really have a measurable way of getting there. So the point is to stay focused. When you're setting a resolution, setting goals for yourself, you need to have focus, not be all over the place, and just be committed to 1 or 2 things. I know for me, I'm like, oh, there are 1,000 things I want to work on, but a great way to start is to think about, okay, what things would impact my life in the biggest way. For instance, a goal for me last year that I really kind of fell through on was being more intentional about my social media use. And I'm doubling back down on that in 2022. I'll tell you how shortly. But I think that's something that can affect my life pretty dramatically, and probably your life too, because a lot of us waste so much time on social media. And while I think it can actually be a beautiful thing, hence why I'm here, we need to use it as a tool rather than becoming a slave to it. So when I am able to be more intentional and remove it from my life as filler, I'm going to have more time to prioritize other things that really are most important. Hence why I think it's a pretty, notable thing to prioritize, and it falls into the top 2 or 3 things that I'm going to focus on for the year. Step number 2 is to know your why. We live in a world with so many external pressures, and speaking of social media, that is a huge one. We are constantly able to look at other people's lives and compare our lives to them, and with that, I think we have the tendency, I know I myself have the tendency to see things other people are doing that I think are cool or admirable or good, and therefore assume that I should be doing the same thing. Whereas in reality, maybe it doesn't apply to my life, or maybe there are different ways that I function that I should be working with in order to like get where I want to be. I know that's very vague, but the point is, if you don't have a reason behind the goal you're setting, whether that reason is I want to get in better shape so that I'm going to be around longer to be with my family, or so that I can lift my grandkids up and there be more value to my life, whether it's that, or whether it's, hey, I want to prove to myself that I have the willpower to actually do this. And for instance, one of my goals for the past year, reading 24 books, and I love to read and I want to learn more, and I want to just take the time to engage my imagination. Those are all whys. It doesn't necessarily have to be this huge existential thing, but you need to be grounded in your reason for doing something, and it has to be intrinsic, not just this notion that, oh, it would be good or cool or honorable, or other people would look in at your life and think, wow, look at them. Like, you have to be doing this for you, or for something that is greater than yourself, not just for other people, if that makes any sense. Okay. Goal number 3, and hopefully most of you have heard this before. I keep saying goal number 3, step number 3, and hopefully most of you have heard this before. But that is to set SMART goals. I need to sip of my tea, hold on. Okay, this is good. It's Indigo Punch from Harney & Sons. My brother got it for me last Christmas, and I put some honey in it, and it's purple because it has butterfly PT in it. Anyway, okay. Step number 3 is to set SMART goals. SMART as in the acronym SMART, standing for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. If any of you did like the college, if your college had the requirement, what did they call it? I think it was like LFIT or something like that at UNC that we had to do. One of the whole segments on it, or I guess units in the class, was focused on setting goals for physical wellness that were like good and attainable. So SMART goals is the acronym. I'm rambling on. You've probably heard that. But the idea here, in short, is to set parameters around your goals for actually getting them done, and it not just being this big ideal kind of shiny out in the future that you're hoping to achieve. Rather, like, let's take control of our goals and put them into action. So in terms of a goal being specific, for instance, for myself, what does it mean to say, oh, I want to read more? Okay, great, you want to read more, but how are you going to like know if you're reading more? That's very vague and very easy to like fall back on, because you can justify different things or just forget essentially to enforce it. So setting a goal for yourself, like I'm going to read 24 books, or for instance, looking back at one of my goals that I kind of did a crappy job on, the social media one, is okay, I want to reduce maybe my consumption by this period of time per what's measured on your phone's screen time tracker or anything like that. That would be a specific goal. So second is measurable, and that ties pretty closely to specific, I would say, particularly when it comes to that book example. 24 is a very measurable goal to be working towards. It's a number that you know you're going to hit, but this could take different forms. Maybe if it is a physical fitness goal, you're thinking about a certain amount of muscle mass that you want to put on, or if you are in the position of needing to lose weight, a certain amount of weight that you are seeking to lose. It could also be measured, which maybe is even better, in terms of, how many times you are wanting to find yourself exercising in a week, getting outside in a week. So that's the measurable component, and then you have attainable. And this is a really big thing. It is so easy to have these grand ideas and be like, yes, I'm going to go for it, but get burnt out super fast because they're just not realistic. And that's going to have applications in physical fitness and also in the number of books you read and literally in everything you do. Whether maybe it's home cooked meals. Like I love to make meals at home, but it's just not realistic for me to anticipate that I'm going to be able to do that every single night, because there are plenty of days when I am exhausted and literally all I can do is just like lay down and read or like watch a movie. So say we're setting a goal for ourselves to get in the gym 4 times a week. A lot of weeks that might be super practical, but there also might be times where there are other things going on that make that unrealistic. And unfortunately, what tends to happen, I guess, just by human nature in these instances is we jump to the other extreme. And it's like, oh, well, I can't hit 4 for this week, so might as well just not go at all. Like, I'm not going to hit my goal. That's irrational. I'm just going to be honest with you, despite the fact that we all tend to fall for it, myself included. I think the biggest thing we can do in setting goals to avoid setbacks like that is to, again, create measures, which I'll get kind of into in the next point, for ourselves to handle outlying situations. And also, again, just being realistic, which is the next point in terms of, or the next part of the acronym, in terms of how we are structuring them. So realistic, straightforward, and then time bound is another big one, which I think that looking at this in the context of a resolution or of a year is helpful, because automatically you have that period of time going from, January 1st to December 31st of the next year. That is your time for accomplishing a goal. Now, depending on what it is, maybe you need to set a shorter goal within that amount of time. But again, if you have just this big open-ended question mark, what are the odds that you're actually going to achieve what you're seeking to achieve? Pretty slim. All right, my darn camera totally quit on me and I didn't even realize it. So I had to step away for a minute and fix that. But we are on step number 4. And that is to implement corresponding rhythms. So for every goal we set, and this goes along with the whole SMART goal situation, we need to have a mechanism put in place for actually making them happen. So for me, with my goal last year of reading 24 books, I put in place the rhythm of taking time every single morning to sit down and read a book, whether that was 20 to 30 minutes, or on days that maybe I didn't have as much time, still taking the time to just read 1 chapter, or spend 10 minutes reading. If it's a fitness related goal, you're setting the rhythm of, showing up to work out a certain number of times a week, like we started or talked about before, or maybe you're looking to become a runner. Well, then you have to have a rhythm for becoming a runner that is in place to actually make that happen. Again, it all comes back to creating a plan for the day-to-day to actually put these things into action, as opposed to just throwing them out there and hoping we'll get there somehow. The last step is to create accountability. And this is pretty straightforward, but there are a bunch of ways to do it. First and foremost, just telling someone who loves you, who you love, what your goal is, and giving them permission to check in and actually act in terms of accountability. So, no one's going to come up to you and say, well, hopefully no one's going to come up to you and say, hey, why didn't you go to the gym today, if you didn't ask them to do that. But if you do, share with a family member, a trusted family member, your goal, and ask them, hey, will you check in if you notice I haven't been doing what I said I'm going to do? And they do so kindly. Or if you ask them to do that, and there's someone you can trust to do so kindly, that's going to do a lot for helping remind you of your motivation, even when it is at times external. I think it can get us on track with our intrinsic motivation and keep us in line. So tell someone about it. Heck, make a video like I'm making right now about to tell you my goals for 2022, so that you look back and be like, okay, yeah, said I was gonna do those, definitely want to make it happen. Whatever it is, just don't leave it out in the open. Tell someone. Okay, you get the point. Anyway. Okay, now all I want to do is share with you my goals for 2022. The first of which is to prioritize prayer. This is something that I think is going to benefit me in a lot of ways, not just when it comes to prayer, but when it comes to, slowing down, taking time, being present and intentional, and also letting go of control. That's definitely a big struggle for me, as I'm sure it is for many people. Just, the act of surrender and realizing I only have so much control, and let me do my best with that, but then let like God do his thing, the one who is actually, in control, do his thing. But my rhythm for making this happen is to create a prayer journal, which I've been working on, where every day I'm going to sit down and I'm going to ask myself like 10 questions. And that might seem excessive to some people, but I don't think it's going to be too much. I think they'll be pretty quick, where I'm just checking in, kind of going down, what are the things that I want to be focusing on? Who can I be praying for? What's on my heart? Like, what do other people need in these certain, situations? Like, what do I want to be the focus of my day? But being really intentional and mindful about that to prevent myself from just going through the motions, which I feel is my struggle. And I guess more pointedly is the why behind this goal, because I'm good at sitting down and, I'm going to read a chapter of my Bible. But what I struggle with is the aspect of relationship and just allowing that to take over my heart, and remaining in conversation with the Lord, and continually giving my worries and my struggles and even my joy over to him. So that's my first goal. I also want to implement an evening check-in, which I'm still kind of figuring out how that's going to look, but where at the end of the day, particularly, I'm turning back to what I am grateful for from that day specifically. Studies have even shown that benefits sleep and the quality of your dreams and how you wake up feeling the next day. My second goal, as you probably already know, is to quit using social media as filler. So all I'm going to say here are my two kind of mechanisms for making this happen. Number one, I want to set boundaries around when I'm using my phone specifically. I'll probably still use it as my alarm, just because my system of barcode scanning, hence my 4:30 a.m. morning routine video, if you want to watch that, is working really well for me. But setting it up maybe so I'm not getting notifications first thing in the morning, I can just set it away and not touch it, for a certain period of time. And then also having specific times for designated for consumption. So when I'm getting on social media to see what other people have been up to and watch the stories that I like to watch, I can do so with intention and purpose, and not just get, swept away in something that's ultimately mind numbing. So my last goal for the year builds off my book reading goal from 2021, and this year it is to read 26 books. I was tempted to honestly make it higher than that, can I read 30 books this year? But in the spirit of keeping things realistic and attainable, I set it at 26 because I've already passed that at this point of 2021, but at the start of the year, I had about a month where I had graduated college and was not yet working. And in that time, I was able to spend a lot more time reading and kind of get ahead. So I think it would be unrealistic to expect that I could read, astronomically more than I did this year, but this will still be a good challenge. And I also am excited to read some quote unquote meatier books. Hence my 3 books I think everyone should read video from last week. I definitely dove into some meaty books, but I think I just want to refocus. Some on my list are A Love Letter Life by Audrey and Jeremy Roloff. So excited for that one. You should check out their podcast, Beating 50%, on Spotify or wherever, if you haven't already. I'm excited to read Severe Mercy, which is actually one that's recommended by Audrey and Jeremy Roloff, and Redeeming Love, Till We Have Faces. I always say that wrong, which is a C.S. Lewis novel who tells the story of Cupid and Psyche that I read in high school, and it was so good, but I don't remember it as well as I'd like to by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm excited to really dive back into that. And also Where the Crawdads Sing is another one. But let me know what else you think I should read in 2022. I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into this with intention, and just kind of refocus even more on my morning rhythms and focus, incorporating even that into my evening rhythms as well. But okay, I know that was a lot of me talking. I hope you got cozy. I hope you enjoyed. And again, I just hope this got you thinking about what goals you want to set for yourself and how you can actually make them happen. And like, heck, let's hold each other accountable. That's a beautiful thing and a beautiful opportunity we have here through this platform and through social media as a whole. So once again, I really appreciate you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would help me so much if you hit that subscribe button. Until next time, bye y'all.